What is the newest car that could be built into a gasser?
68.
I was thinking like 67, but yeah, 68.
I'm thinking
probably.
60. I'm thinking 67.
Because
60,
it's about that era that they started
Yeah.
morphing into the funny car.
You got to admit, when you pull in a gas station, there's just not a whole lot of people running over looking at the belly button Mustang cars. They're trying to figure out how this guy in the Model A is driving this thing and why he can't hear because his pipes are sticking straight up in his face.
Yeah.
And the kids, their parents are always bringing their kids over and they want to get a picture with my car. And I just love that about it, man. I think that's my most favorite thing is.
Welcome to episode 113 of the Drag Driver Pete Show presented by Summit Racing. Tonight's episode is the Gasser Invasion, the Gasser Extravaganza, the Gasser Go Get 'em. So during the Performer Built segment, I want to talk about the State of the Union for the Gasser stuff, right? But first, I want to talk about this comment right here. Jason Schaefer said, ask him to give advice about how to finish for all the new Gasser newbies that will be at Smokies. What's a tip? Let's go around. What's a tip that somebody could give to help somebody finish?
Build your car using parts that you can get at on any auto parts store.
Yeah, the least unique one-off stuff is best.
Yeah. You know, if it's you got to have a solid bottom end, you buy the solid bottom end. But if you got, you don't want to be running exotic carburetors or fuel injection or some one-off intake or some handmade headers or anything that could possibly go wrong that you got to be able to
some mechanical injection deal.
Yeah, something 8 stabs sticking out of the hood, But
Don't use an AOD. That's right.
Build your car with parts that you can get at an auto parts store, or that you can, order readily available at the track the next day.
Or you can find it at a junkyard in any small town.
Right. We see more failures because it was something that somebody had specially built, or this, billet, I don't know, the alternator bracket, and it is the only thing that'll work, but now it's broken and they're out. They can't get any charging. You got to keep it simple.
Keep it simple. You can borrow. You got to have stuff that even be more common for the guy at the track to maybe say,
right,
buddy, I can help you out because I run. It's common. We got, we can get that anywhere. But
right.
Yeah,
I carry more spare parts in my trailer for somebody else than I do myself.
I've gone for parts and been like, wait a minute, I've never used that. Oh, I lent that to somebody.
Right.
And never replaced it. So then I'd borrow it from somebody else, which is great, So it is what it is. Yeah, that's it. Like Matt said, is make it simple. Keep it really simple. Keep it so parts are available. Look your shit over, man. Like go over it. Not bolt it. If you think there's something, maybe after the day 2 drive, put some wrenches on it, double check it.
Exactly.
We run ladder bar setup. I'm always double checking my bolts. I kind of know how many threads are there, and I look them over, just to make sure nothing's backing on. So.
That's the biggest. To me, that's the biggest thing. Keep it simple. Keep an eye on your setup, and have fun.
For sure.
Have fun is the key.
Yeah, it's
I don't think. Yeah, none of us are going out there to try to win the first time out or try to take first place. It's all, let's go out there and have fun. Let's razz each other. Let's have a good time and help each other get to the end, whatever it takes. But yeah, keep it simple, keep it simple and have fun.
Yeah. Enjoy the drive.
Yeah, absolutely. Enjoy the drive.
When I stop for gasoline, I'll always kick the ladder bars or the hairpins, just go around kicking stuff or pushing on it. And there's been a few times I've found some loose bolts,
Right.
But just keep an eye on stuff. Catch it before it breaks.
Yep.
You're generally only going 1,000, maybe a little over 1,000 miles. It's not that big of a deal. I always say we drive 1,000 miles throughout the year, no matter what. So just keep a good eye on it and make it work.
So let me ask you this: if you had 0 miles on your car and you drove it onto the trailer, would it be better to stay home, or are you going to go down?
No, you definitely go.
Our first one we did, we drove the car up and down the street like 3 blocks and put it on the trailer and we went.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yes.
The car hadn't been on the road in 20 years.
Yeah, who hasn't done that?
Yeah, I'll tell you, we drove the old truck for for Mega Week. We drove the old truck for the first time in 3 years, and it made it 400 feet down the track. So it had about 80 miles on the street before that, but it was all easy stuff. And you full throttled that thing the first time. Hey, guess what? Shit breaks, man.
Right.
Now you found the weak link, so that you just build better.
Yeah.
Build
Yeah, we
better.
put a new motor in it. Yeah. So it made it through the circuit this time. So we're good.
Yeah.
It made 2 passes. It was perfect.
No, that's 100% better.
Yeah.
All right, so here's what I want to do. I want to talk about the state of the union within the gasser community within Drag and Drive, because like Mike Finnegan said earlier, like there's not a ton of cars that typically we don't have a 20 car gasser class, right? At the circuit, we combined the gasser and hot rod because we had 6 cars. So the cars are there. So my first question is, how great is the recent push for gassers in Drag and Drive? And then from there, how do we grow the community?
And I like the rules that Matt came up with, Matt and Adam or whoever was behind it. And it seemed like a pretty good deal. And there was options for, if it didn't have a whatever axle, or there was lots of ways to be going through and being a gasser. But and then all of a sudden, for months, people are going, I'm building a gasser for this. I'm building one. Man, I'm starting it. Everybody's showing pictures. And then we get to the track and there's only like 8 or 10 of us there, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now guys like me just don't show up with their car.
Yeah. Yeah. Who didn't do that? But yeah, it was disappointing. And so I'm really looking forward to, like you guys are saying, the 6 Smokies. Hopefully, 50 of them will show up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If a bunch show up, then they'll be hooked.
All right. Performabuilt is the official transmission builder of Drag Drive Repeat. At Performabuilt Transmissions, the goal is to engineer and build the toughest transmissions on the planet. Performabuilt doesn't just rebuild transmissions, they systematically re-engineer each model to eliminate OEM flaws and to achieve the highest levels of performance. That's why they say their transmissions are not just built, they are Performabuilt.
That is right. Ryan Snyder and the team up there are awesome.
Yeah, I think it's the total number of gassers out there in the community, percentage-wise, is probably pretty low. And when you're trying to get registered in 3 minutes for drag week or sick week, the likelihood of 2% of the cars getting in and having a good car count of gassers is going to be difficult. I think with them opening up the window for gassers first made a huge difference. I think of course I'm biased. I think they should open it up early for every event for gassers only, right? I mean, it's
absolutely.
You see X amount of Camaros or Mustangs, modern Camaros or Mustangs filling up the class in if it's dial your own or something like that. That's a lot bigger window. That's a lot bigger pool of cars to fill. And I think it's just because you filling up drag week or sick week in 3 minutes or 1.5 minutes, it's just you just can't get in there. And I think that opening that up to say, hey, we want gassers at the event. I mean, if you can pull 80 gassers for a special sick event, I mean, you should be able to pull 15 or 20 for a regular event. It's just the fact that you just can't get in there. We've been lucky and been able to get in there for drag week. You know that if you show up, drag week is never filled up ever. We didn't even register for drag week because we didn't plan on doing it until they announced, the tracks. We just showed up late in that day and got in because only 360 people showed up or something,
Yeah, they'll never turn anybody away either, drag week, if it's got to go a little over. Like you said, it's all the years I've been doing it, however many that is, it's a ton. They've never turned anybody away. It's never filled up. But I would have to say, like last year, drag week, in my recollection, I think we had a pretty big gasser field. It wasn't a ton, but it was more than normal. It was more than, the handfuls. And there was, a lot of them were getting pretty quick, So I was like, wow, there's a lot of cool cars. So to open it up for I think like Mike had said, it's kind of hard to get them all there because it's not specialty towards them. And I think a lot of guys don't really, I've talked to guys over the years that have gassers like, I wouldn't take mine on a trip like that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
It's like they get a little sketchy about it. But generally once you do it, like we all know, you do it once, you're like, that ain't nothing. We can do it again, and they'll get the bug, but it's just getting there and having faith in their own car, and some of them, quite honestly, some of the local ones I've seen, I don't know if I would drive them on it, not to bash anybody or anything, but it's like, they just don't have that up to put those kind of miles on through the Smokies or Blue Ridge Parkway, or we've done a lot with all of us have done a lot with our cars and made a lot of miles, and we know what it takes to keep them on the road, and we try to. I personally try to instill that to people when I talk to them. Make sure your bars are parallel. Keep your bump steer out of them. Just give them some pointers and stuff. So I think if we could get some more guys more confident in their stuff, and maybe there's some more events like the Six Smokies would be, you'll see a lot more of them there, at these events.
I wonder sometimes if it's a generational gap. I mean, none of us are spring chickens. Let's face that.
Speak for yourself.
I'm 23.
Yeah, whatever. Lies.
Yeah.
I nailed it. I said there was going to be. I said there's going to be stories, laughter, and lies, and you just did it. But a lot of the younger generation, you've got the LS power plant, the Coyote power plant, this modern fuel injection. You've got everything going, and the last thing they're thinking about is building something that's got a straight axle, nose high stance, that steers like a dump truck, and drives. It's like a parachute, going down the road. So I don't know, maybe that's part of it, or like you guys had hit on, it's it's tough getting them involved when the sellout goes so fast.
Yeah, I kind of feel like maybe if they had, each class had a bucket to fill, it wasn't just first come, first serve general. You know what I mean? If you said, I've got 8 unlimited spots, I've got 8 ultimate iron spots, I've got 16 gasser spots, I've got, 12 hot rod spots, then people would see, oh, I can get into sick week. They only had 11 people show up for hot rod class or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
If it wasn't just a free for all, I think, but God, to be able to handle that. I mean, Mike, you know how hard it is to put these events on. I don't know how you'd even begin to do that.
Nope. That sounds fun. That sounds like a whole lot of fun, but we're probably not going to do that.
Yeah, I don't even begin to know how you would do that.
But here's the thing. You're on the right track, though, right? For like DYO, hey, we're going to take 150, or Street Machine Eliminator, we're going to take 150. Like, you're not going to do that for that class. But for something like Six Smokies or Mega Week, they can do that because they want, they're pursuing that class. They're pursuing those, freaks, the street freak cars. They're trying to get those cars built in. So you can do that. You could have that as a weight. Terry Scott says, I don't have a gasser, but my Coyote Swap Galaxy will be there. That's what's up. That car is a blast too. That car is awesome. So what's your
that guy?
Yeah, what's your late model engine? I know Rob is probably ran the newest engine setup in a gasser style car. What's your thoughts on that? Keep the hood closed. Don't care what the engine is, or it needs to be period correct.
I'm
build
a class of get people out.
Yeah, you think about that. I remember when Sega started, and the rules for Sega are strict.
Yeah,
and I remember when it started, I'm like, man, are they going to get people to sign up for this? Because I mean, the wheel tire combination. I think like even A-Gas has if you have to launch with the wheels more than 12 inches off the.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Very strict. We've looked at it, and I mean, ultimately, eventually, I would love to field a Sega car, but the number of cars that are in Sega now, and then especially like the Superstock classes, I remember when they started those, there was like 3 cars. It is amazing what they've done. So I'm a kind of a purist kind of guy. I kind of like the drag week rules and the sick week rules. I like the limit on the engines, even though the hot rod drag week rules did limit me on what I could build for the Fairlane when I did decide to build a big block. I mean, I always wanted a Boss 429 engine, but they had 68 or older for the Fords, you know what I mean? And so it kept me from being able to build that engine. That's changed now. Not to jam on anybody or anything. I mean, I'm just, speaking, I don't think an LS is like the purest of gasser stuff. They're the fastest, probably, right? They're super fast. Sorry, Rob.
Rob's been the fastest of anybody out here.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In the gasser.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a Ford guy, but there's a reason why everybody runs an LS engine, right? I mean, because they're fast, I like the NA for B gas, and I like the Roots style blowers for A gas. Now to say that, we tried to make it to Mega Week. We made it with a camper, but we didn't make it with the truck because we didn't get there in time for tech. But we put nitrous on the truck because it was allowed. So I think there's markets for that. I think that I like the older style stuff a little bit more. But we were planning on trying. We tried like hell to get to Mega Week and be competitive with a 200 shot of nitrous on the truck.
Yeah.
So you can't.
Does anybody know the rules
rules. I know Tom put in an outlaw gasser. Is that just because my blower loves nitrous?
I don't know.
Dual power adders. I like your style.
I think probably the outlaw class will be whatever goes. You know what I mean? They're not going to restrict it. So gas
Right.
got it on there. They're not going to. They want to see the same thing everybody else does. They want to see fast shit. You know, like
Right.
Yep.
Right.
it's going to do
Violence.
faster. You know,
Yep.
So
Right.
that's why it's going to be the outlaw class. I don't know what kind of rules. The other classes already have a good set of rules. So that one being outlaw is going to probably be whatever it is. You know, like
Which is cool.
Yeah, which is
Right.
great. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I would imagine Tom probably had that class in like a preemptive because he's trying to get his done now. So
He's using the
That
drag
car-
week rules. Pretty
right.
much drag week rules. That's why I'm a little bit worried about even going, because I have a chopped top, so that knocks me out of both of them, and I have
that
no
would put-
fenders. That knocks me out of both of them.
That puts you in the out.
Yeah, but
Oh,
we talked to them before about that. The body alteration thing is more of they don't want like the like a 40 Willys in there with like the pro mod style body and stuff like that.
Right.
Uh,
I'm
where-
hoping I can slide in down at the bottom. He says, or fits the spirit of a gasser. So
I'd say yours fits the spirit of a gasser. I mean,
very much
your,
so.
your
It's
chop
some kind
top
of
is no
spirit.
aerodynamic. You know,
Nothing.
you have a brick. You have
this
a
is the
brick
same-
also.
Used to be an
This is the same
aerodynamic.
argument that I had with Keith Turk and David Freiberger with the 41 Pontiac. That car
Yeah.
had zero weight advantage, had zero aerodynamic value whatsoever to it.
Right.
They told me I chopped the car, and I said no. It has all dimensional glass in the car that was from the factory. There is no shortening of the roof line. They
Right.
still knocked me out of the class because the car had been chopped in half. I said that's funny. I've never heard of a car chopped in half. I've heard of them cut in half, but
Right.
I lost that argument because
Wow.
it still fit. It still fit the spirit of the gasser class.
Mhm.
But the protester won their way, and I got knocked to hot rod and unfortunately knocked Jay's daughter out of contention. But anyway,
Right.
Thanks for bringing that
Well,
up,
he-
man. Jeez, it's like haunting
Yeah.
me.
But anyhow, I just be careful, Mike, because they'll tell you one thing sometimes, and then they'll pull you aside under a shade tree and say you don't fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So keep
Yeah.
Turk did tell me.
I do like what Matt did with Mega Week and
Mhm.
making a list, and the number of items you have on that list moves you up on that priority. That I kind of like that setup. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was really cool. Like his thought process in that was very interesting. Again, trying to grow the community, the gasser turnout at Mega Week. You could have 4 of 7 things, I think, or something like that. If you had all 7, you got more priority, all that kind of stuff. So I like to see that. And with a class like gassers, you can do some fun stuff like that. You can try some things. Classes like modified probably need to stay pretty dang close to the rules,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
because those guys are going to be fast. So, all right, this is going to be maybe a little controversial for you guys and in the comment section, but what is the newest car that could be built into a gasser?
68.
I
would
probably agree.
I would agree.
Yeah.
68.
I was thinking like 67, but yeah, 68.
I'm thinking
probably.
60. I'm thinking 67.
Because
68.
it's about that era that they started
Yeah.
morphing into the funny car.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The gassers just kept kind of evolving, and
Right,
they started-
right.
They kept morphing into technology and tires and
Yep.
stuff.
They had that.
Yeah,
I forget who it was that had the Ford that was it was a tilt up body, but it was all steel. Ford or a Cyclone
Comet.
maybe, or was
Yeah.
it Comet?
Comet,
Something. Yeah.
And that, I believe that was in 68 or 69.
Yeah.
So
What was the 69 Mustang, the Warhorse that had a twin turbo?
that was
Austin
Ohio
29?
George's car.
Yeah.
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 So
I mean,
yeah,
that would be pretty cool.
that'd be right at the 68, 69 era, I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'd still lean towards 68, 67, 68 would be if I was putting on an event, I would agree with that.
So no
think if
85 Caprices.
No, sir.
no.
I would say if they open it up to that, we'll end up seeing a Fox body like Adam Hodgson or something. He'll just jack it
Yeah.
up and come out and kick everyone's ass, and
Yeah.
take
Yeah,
all the fun out of it.
They're like,
But
that's not a gasser. That's just long travel front suspension. that
right.
you
It's
Turn
just
the
a no
coil
prep
overs
car.
way up.
But it looks like a gasser when it's under full throttle.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
True.
That's fun. All right, so that actually leads into my next question: is Finnegan's front suspension? I was hoping he would
Oh,
be
geez,
back
you're
on
gonna
here
go
right
there?
now. I mean, I
He's
think
got
we have
he's got
to.
a trophy truck suspension under that thing.
Yeah. So that's what I was going to say. I feel
Really.
like it fits the look, but drive way better than a solid axle at that kind of speed. Rob Lipinski's probably the one who can kind of talk to this about going at that speed with that kind of front suspension. So what's y'all's thought? I mean, not right or wrong, but like, are we gonna see that kind of stuff as we move into the future?
I got A-arm suspensions going to go into my Falcon now instead of a straight axle because of it. So
Yeah,
What kind of speeds? What kind of speeds have you
want to
been?
do, it's-
I've been
it's gotta be
171.
a lot safer.
Okay.
So yeah, besides being a brick up in the air, pushing the air is more of the problem than anything.
Yeah, we're in the 150, 160 range. So
Oh
with
yeah,
a straight axle.
I forget that you run that car. Yeah.
So
I was gonna say-
when I was working for Dennis, we started the build on Tom's Nomad, and I pretty much did all of it up till they started doing the chassis stuff. But I mean, I'm not going to say what the plan is, but it's super, super trick because he's wanting to go over 200 miles an hour. So I guess that's the argument. If you want to be safe at that speed, you got to change up the whole gasser deal. I don't know. So, I mean, is it still a gasser, or is it just a cool evolution to the gasser? I don't know, man.
I think that's that's where the rule might have to, like that outlaw class that Tom had come up with, that he had come with for the Six Smokies, is maybe that's where that kind of stuff would fit in at. It's still a great class, but now you're taking a gasser to a whole new level with a whole new thing. Is it still a gasser in spirit? But what are you looking for? You know what I mean? It's like that. It's like limited part. Like you got the a regular Mustang, and then you got the limited Mustang, So to me, I think that might be where the rule changes, or maybe there's an added class, but then again, that'd only be for one or two cars, So it's something that everybody would. It's going to be an argument no matter what. In my opinion, a gasser should have a straight axle. I get some of the safety stuff, but guys have been going really fast with that stuff, and you build for that. I mean, if your car's a brick and you want to go 200 miles an hour with it, well, maybe a gasser isn't the best way to go to begin with.
Right.
How do you go 200 miles an hour with an 850 cage?
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. But
yeah,
there's a limitation to everything. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
To me, it's always going to be. I like the old school stuff. I've had front engine dragsters too.
Yeah, maybe it ought to be something that you couldn't get before '68.
Yeah, there were gassers that were A-arm back in the day.
Yeah.
I mean, but
that's kind of where the class started. It was just a gas class and kind of evolving. So A-arms were in the mix, but again, so if you have an original style A-arm car, maybe, and then you got to move to the axle. You're starting getting into some of that stuff. And
I guess I agree too with getting probably the most people in that we can also that at least fit the spirit. Like Mike, Keith came to me at Sick Week and he said, well, your car's a little bit low. And I said, well, I can raise the shock up. All I have to do is drill one more hole in the, and my car was fairly high in the front end. But he said, but with I had running boards on it, and with the running boards on it, it looked like it had a little bit of a rake to it. So I said, I'll change it. And I said, I told him right there, I said, it was one of those things that Mike's car has, it says fuel injection with, stack, or if you use the fuel injection, it has to be with a stack or a hat. And I love the way, he used it to his advantage. There's injectors in the blower. It doesn't say you can't put injectors in the blower. So I say totally legal. I want to run him. If I want to beat somebody, I want to beat them at their best, I guess. So I really don't care what they want to do as long as it fits the spirit.
And I think that's probably those are all the right answers. I think that's one thing that's really cool about gasser and what we're going to see, what we've seen in the last 50, 60 years of these cars being around, 70 years, these cars being floating around, is like now you have an entirely new generation of people that are getting introduced to this style. Like, I love how wild a lot of that stuff is. I love how it just looks like something that's not going to be in the parking lot. A lot of the cars, like you guys were saying earlier, are, I mean, they're car, like we're racing regular cars. We're just upgrading them to where they go fast. But the gassers, there's not a car, truck, any minivan on the market that has the nose high. Not one.
Right.
So when you
That's
pull
sort
in
of
the
the
parking lot,
spirit.
you see that, yeah, and you go, oh wow, okay, this is interesting. I like this. And then of course, there's probably not a quiet gasser in the bunch. I know not here for sure.
What?
Yeah, we might see a few at Six Smokies, just some guys kind of out having some fun with them. But I think it's going to be awesome to see what will this year, 2025, do for the gasser community within the drag and drive community. Are we going to start seeing 25 and 30 of those show up at an event that have been built purposely to be street cars? Because a lot of times those guys are building them to take them, I would think. I mean, I don't know this gasser community like you guys do, but they're building them to take to vintage shows. They're finding the neat, cool trinkets of vintage technology to put on those cars to show them, like you would never show up to Sega with late model stuff on your car, but
Yeah, I
those
think
guys search that out. They're trying to find that old stuff.
I'm looking
I
forward to seeing, I hope, a whole bunch of really nice paint jobs with some old fashioned lettering, man, some hand lettering and shadowed in there and some really cool colors. Even though there's not a drop of paint on my car anywhere, I still like to look at that stuff.
Yeah.
And some really cool lettering. And
Tom has given us a really good opportunity to show up. So I think if we show up, put on a good show, I think hopefully it'll drag some people along.
Yeah.
That's where the period not being so much period correct, a little more leniency, fitting the spirit.
Yep.
Gets a lot more of the younger guys nowadays because get a lot of them. They think the cars are cool, but they'll never go back.
never
The dinosaur
never
technology, but they like that look.
Yep.
Yeah.
they're not
So
going to know
I
what
think
to
if
do
we
with the
want more than
carburetor,
3
man.
cars in the class, it's got to evolve a little bit.
Yep. Well,
Yeah.
and I'm
If
all
you want
for
period
that.
correct, that's what Sega's for. They're to the T, period correct.
Yeah. And what year are they in now? 7 or 8 or something like that, of hosting their race season. So I mean, like they have, there should be that following of people that want that. Man, this is the way it was. This is how it's gonna, and because it creates a whole other level of hard to get there. But a guy with a late model engine that's fuel injected, that got an overdrive transmission in it, but drives that son of a gun everywhere. Like that's a dude that's gonna also get a ton of attention when he's out there. Or like Reggie and his buddies who drove them from Florida all the way to Famosa drag strip to SEMA to back home. Like there's just, man, it's so crazy to think of streetcar stuff that can do that.
That's why I put one of them 454 RV motors together, so I'd be cool like Randy now.
There's definitely going to be, like with the gasser stuff, there's definitely going to be, different strokes for different folks. One guy might come in my car and look and say, oh man, that's cool. Maybe, another group of people are going to look at another car that's more technology, has more advancement in it and be cool with that too, So you're always going to get two different sides of people looking at the gassers, what they want or what they feel in their opinion is what they want to see, or how they want a build to be. So,
but you got to admit, when you pull in a gas station and there's a bunch of us there, there's just not a whole lot of people running over looking at the belly button Mustang cars. They're trying to figure out how this guy in the Model A is driving this thing and why he can't hear because his pipes are sticking straight up in his face.
Yeah.
And the kids, their parents are always bringing their kids over and they want to get a picture with my car. And I just love that about it, man. I think that's my most favorite thing is you just pull up anywhere and people will just walk up and start taking pictures, and they got a kid. I said, open the door and get in there, man. Stand up and look through the roof, And
Yeah.
it's just fun.
I mean, the reality is if you want to go fast, Fox body with an LS and a turbo, right?
It's automatic.
But they don't get questions at the gas station.
No.
Right. Rodney Reeves says, I got one
They
foot
just
in.
got to question their sexuality because they're a little bit gay, but
So guys, thank you so much for being our race car friends. Thank you for hanging out tonight. Thank you for hitting the share button, because this could possibly be one of our biggest shows that we've ever had, as far as guest count wise, for sure. And then, while you're in there, again, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button if you're new here. We appreciate that. And thank you so much to our sponsors for being a huge part of this program. Without them, we can't do this. So if you're trying to do some shopping for those car parts, make sure you hit them up. Summit Racing, Deechworks, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Howard's Cams, J-Wire Solutions, Performa-Built Transmissions, Car Change 3D, WAF Racing, Power Tube TV, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk Classifieds. You guys, you got to hit those folks up. Whenever you're looking for some stuff